October means Inktober, and I am back with more art hacks. Inking art hacks. Greetings, people of the internet. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome, mad creators, to the underground laboratory where we create robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. And sometimes when we do those, we do them in ink. And that is especially relevant today because as I'm posting this, it's October 1st, which means it's the start of Inktober. Last year, I kind of skipped Inktober. There were a number of reasons. I posted a video. There was some controversy about it. That really wasn't the reason why I didn't do it. Just had a lot of stuff going on. I've got a lot of stuff going on right now, so I was debating whether I wanted to do it or whatever, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do it. So I'll kind of show you. I'm doing something a little simpler this year. I was toying around with the idea of doing something more elaborate, but I'm just gonna do some kind of cute little monsters. It is October, which is the month of Halloween, so I'm doing little monsters like this, and I'll be doing that throughout the month of October, and you can find those on my Instagram, and maybe I'll throw up some videos on IGTV or whatever, we'll see, but I will leave a link to that. But yeah, so I do a lot of inking. This is my comic book, Young and the Dead. It's a kids versus zombie story. It's like Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead, so if you're into that kind of thing, if you like Goonies, Monster Squad, Stranger Things, it's kind of like that. So I do a lot of inking, and because of that, along the way, I picked up a number of art hacks that I think are going to be pretty cool that you're going to like. Now, these are more for traditional artists. Digital is a whole other, you know, a lot of the tips in digital, it's really hard to do art hack videos on because it's just like different commands or different digital tools and things. So this is going to be more for traditional artists. So if you're into that, then let's check out these hacks. Okay, first up is hack number 1, angle your ruler. Now, obviously when we're rolling out our pages and everything, a lot of times we want a really nice straight line, as you can see, and to do that, I use microns, or you can use technical pins or whatever. You can see the border around this particular page. Very nice, very, very straight and everything, and you can get that effect with a micron and a ruler. But sometimes, like, if you look at this shelf, this illustration here is very cartoony, so I don't want everything to look really stringent, not too straight of lines. The borders are fine, but for the inside, I want more of a, cartoony look. So I want it to be, kind of vary in line weight, but I want the line to be straight. Now, if I try to use a regular ruler and a brush, that's not going to work, okay? But there's another way to do that, and it's a very simple tweak. We just kind of angle the ruler up so the ruler isn't actually touching the page, and then just glide your brush along there, and you can see you get a pretty straight line, but you've got that varying line weight there, and if that's the look you're going for, then that's the way to achieve it. And as you can see here, I'm just doing this dresser, kind of the same thing. Now make sure it's not touching the bristles, but just above where the metal part is, and just go across like that. And it gives a nice kind of, it's not too uniform, it's straight, but it's got that kind of smooth or varying line weight to it. And you can also do it with a brush pen or or a brush and ink, and just like that, and there you go. So if you're looking for that kind of look, you want it to look a little more organic, I guess, more cartoony, then that's the way to achieve that. All right, on to hack number 2, toothbrush spatter, or splatter, however you want to pronounce it. Okay, so it's basically the same thing. So you want to use a thicker ink like a Pro White or this bleed-proof white. And what we're going to do here is stars. Now you can also do this with black if you want black on white, and you just want to make sure you have a thicker ink for this particular method. So I'm just going to get some white on my brush right here. And this method is great for more of a realistic starscape. If you want it to look like a galaxy, it's just good because it comes off so random. But what you do is just kind of pull on the bristles like you see here, and just let that kind of fly off. And you might want to try this on a separate page a few times to kind of get the hang of it. But once you do, you're able to control it. So sometimes you can get little clusters of stars real close to each other, and other times you can get them more far apart and everything. But it does have a very realistic look to it. And if you want, you can go in and you can go back in with your Jelly Roll pen or whatever, and you can add some larger stars. But so I use a combination of different methods to achieve these starscapes. And again, you can use the same method with black ink, like a Pro Black or like a acrylic paint and everything, if you want sort of a black splatter, which we'll show here with this method. Hack number 3, put it on my card. So for this one, we're going to use a quill, and we're going to use a credit card or just some whatever card. I'm using a library card, but just a fairly, like a stiff plastic card. So I cut out this little mask of this. It's kind of a robot zombie thing. I don't know, but anyway, or you can use like a liquid mask, but I just cut out a piece of paper for this particular method. But you want to mask stuff off because this one can get a little messy and you don't want it to mess up your artwork. So anyway, so this I'm just using regular India ink for. This will be like a thinner ink, and you just kind of take your quill and you just kind of flick it against, press it against the credit card, and that'll cause the ink to kind of splatter away. And again, this is another one where you want to practice with. I'm getting some little splatters. Now, if I used a bigger quill, I think this is a, I don't know what, 201, or I forgot how they work those quills. I don't use quills a lot, only for methods like this. Usually I use a brush. But anyway, as you can see, I'm just going to go around here and just kind of repeat this same thing, and you get a lot of other cool effects. Now, if you use a thicker ink, you might be able to get more of sort of a kind of a long tail splatter, but for this I just want mostly little dots. And I'm just going to go around the whole figure. And you could do this to your heart's content. You can do as much as you want, but I just wanted a little bit just for effect, and that's what we came up with. So yeah, there's a couple. Those are a couple different splatter effects, and just use whatever one you want. Hack number 4, the sponge method. For this, I'm using a C sponge, and you can get these at art supply stores. I am using a little bit of a thicker ink. You can use a lighter ink, but I'm using acrylic, which really won't get all over my hands. If you're using India ink, you probably want to wear gloves when you're doing this because it doesn't come off so easy. But this is great if you want to create rocks or something, textures on rocks, or just like for this, I'm just kind of using like a texture just to kind of give the feel of a rough texture of like a room or something. And you can kind of see, you know, once you mask that off and everything, you can kind of see that effect and how it looks. And yeah, I like this technique, and again, we can use this white on black or however you want to do it. All right, we're at the halfway point. This is hack number 5. I call this one fast masks. So basically, this is just a way to do a really quick mask using a Post-it note. So if you want like a straight line, you know, we can do this again with like masking tape or whatever, but this is really quick. Use the sticky side, set it down, and just, you can kind of go through, you can kind of see what I'm doing here, and when we pull that up, all the beginning of those lines are going to be nice and straight, and as you can see there. Now let me kind of show you a practical use for this. So I've got this illustration here, this robot that I created, but let's say we want him to have maybe some vents or something along his arm. So we're going to use 2 Post-it notes. I'm going to put one here and then another one right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do the same thing. I'm going to draw the lines here so it'll be nice and straight, but I'm not going to use a straight ruler because it kind of, his arm kind of has an arch to it. So for this, I'm going to use a French curve, and I'm just going to start drawing some lines here, and just start on top of one of the Post-it notes and go right across and carry it through to the other one. And you can kind of see, and we'll see what we have when we pull it up. But yeah, there's a lot of times, like if you're doing machinery or whatever, you might want vents or whatever, or you can use this for lots of different techniques. Hack number 6, build a bridge. What I've got here is I've got a ruler. Now it's a pretty sturdy ruler. You can see it's got a little, I don't know what you call it. It's got a piece in there, the way it's formed, the plastic, so it won't bend. It's nice and stiff, and that's what we're looking for. Or you could use, if you've got some kind of a sheet of like a thin acrylic or something. But basically what we're trying to do here is, a lot of times when we're inking and we're going fast, when our hand kind of grazes over the page, and it smudges. Now we can put paper under or whatever, but this is a different technique. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm stacking a few Legos here, and you can glue these or whatever. I'm just using some double-sided sticky tape, and I've just created this little bridge that's gonna raise above my paper, and it's gonna allow me to rest my hand on it. So I can kind of do that, so I won't be touching the paper at all. I can kind of move that up and down, and so that'll save you from a lot of smudges. Hack number 7, a blast of air. Now you can see kind of the splatter effect that I have here. I'm going to show you how to achieve something like that. We're going to use black India ink again, and we are going to use this. It's a can of compressed air that you use to clean off your keyboards and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to drop, we're going to get our eyedropper here, we're going to drop a little drop of black India ink right here, and we're just going to spray it. Now, can go from different angles, and this is another one that's going to take some practice, but as you can see now, this isn't going to work for every kind of splatter effect, but there may be a situation where you might want an effect like this, and I don't know, it's just kind of cool, and it's cool to kind of watch how the ink spreads out and everything. It's a really cool effect. On to hack number 8, quick crackle. Now, if you're familiar with Jack Kirby, you know that he's famous for the Kirby crackle effect, which you kind of see here. This kind of cosmic looking thing with all these little dots and everything. It's really hard to get that right here with this brush pen. It's hard to get circles like that. Now, a lot of people say Sharpies, but I don't use Sharpies because they are not light fast and they will fade after time. So this is a pit pen, which is kind of like a Sharpie, but it's filled with India ink instead of whatever ink is in a Sharpie. So this will hold up and won't fade or anything. So that's one way to do it, but I want to show you a real cool technique that I use. Just a regular Q-tip, cotton swab, whatever, and we're going to get some black ink here, and we're just going to use regular India ink for this. It doesn't have to be super thick or anything. Just put a little in here. Now you want to make sure that you're not using this with your other your brush, because sometimes the fibers, the cotton, will get stuck in the ink. So only use that when you're using this technique. Don't mix with your brush. But as you can see, you can just go in and just drop almost perfect circles. You can kind of go in there, and depending on the amount of pressure you apply, you can make larger dots or smaller dots. So that's just a super quick way to do that Kirby crackle effect. Yeah, I really dig how to do this. And of course, you know, we can use black ink, or we can do something else that's really cool. If we have some situation, we might want to use white. Like, so this drawing I did of 11, where she's sort of in her, from Stranger Things, where she's in that tank. We've got all these bubbles. So we can do the same thing by using this. I am using a thicker ink, like an acrylic, because I want it to be opaque enough. You can use Pro White for this too, but same thing here. Just same way, and mix bubbles as well as Kirby crackle. Okay, we're almost done. Hack number 9 is razor thin lines. So I'm going to kind of show you how to make it rain. Now we can use jelly pens or whatever, but sometimes you want a really thin line, and for that I'm going to use a razor blade. Now this isn't a scratch board or anything, it's just a regular, you know, piece of Bristol. You don't want to use this on real thin paper, but you want a decent size thickness. Now what I've done is I've taped a metal ruler to my rolling ruler because I don't want it to scratch the plastic. So as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of dragging that. I kind of messed up a little bit there, but you can go like this, or let's reverse it here. We'll start from the bottom, and that gives sort of a, I like this a little better. It gives like larger droplets towards the bottom, and we can go ahead and do that this way with the razor blade. And there's another way to do it. We can use the razor blade, or we can use a needle. As you can see, I've just got a regular sewing needle here, so you can try this technique as well. And I'm just going to kind of scratch up, and it's good because it kind of breaks apart. It looks like rain because it's not too, you know, straight like you might get with the jelly roll pen or whatever. But if you want, you can go in back with your jelly roll, and you can add some of that too, so you've got some varying droplets. I saved the best for last. Hack number 10 is felt tip breaking. Now this is a technique that was explained to me by my friend Vincent DePorter, who is the artist on SpongeBob comics. He also does Scooby-Doo and a bunch of cool stuff. Awesome artist. But I want you to look at this. This is him actually drawing this. I commissioned this from him. Now, look at all these varying line weights here, and he's using a micron. And I'm like, when he's doing this, I'm like, how are you doing this? And explain this to me. He actually breaks these pens in a manner that will allow him to use it almost like a brush. And it's just great for like convention sketches, but I'm going to show you how to do it. Now, right now, you can see that that's a regular micron. It's going to give you a pretty straight line. You don't get a lot of, you know, line weight difference there. It's pretty much what you see is what you get. They've got different sizes of microns, and sometimes people switch them. But he kind of showed me how he does this, how he breaks it. Now, you want it probably test this out on some cheaper markers before you try it with microns. But as you can see, first we're going to kind of cut a little wedge. You saw that diagram before. Now you can use a magnifying glass if you want because it's really tiny, or I'm just using magnifying eyeglasses, reading glasses. I'm just going to cut that tip at a little bit of an angle. All right, now I'm going to kind of press it. And it's just a matter of, you kind of have to fudge around with it. Now, as you can see, we've cut that first part off. Now we're going to cut the end here. Do you see how that shows there? It takes some getting used to, and I've had to do a couple times before I got it the way I want. I might have to have him actually show me how to do it. But as you can see, I've cut another notch there. Now I'm going to kind of press a little bit. Now you can see I'm going to pull out this page here, this comic book page, and I'm going to show you how with a micron, probably not as good as Vincent's stuff, but you know, I'm new to this, but I'm going to get the hang of it. But you can see I can get the different line weights with the micron, and that, to me, that's just really amazing. And the one thing that you probably want to do is once you break your microns, just so you know which ones are broken and which ones, because you probably want to keep some that aren't broken. I'm using this is a number, I think number 8. I think Vincent says he uses a number 5, but I bought a pack of 8s, so I'm gave it a little practice here. But you can see, look at all the different line weights I'm getting with the micron, and I just did not think that was possible. Anytime I see people ink with a micron, I'm like, unless you want that uniform look, but I'm like, oh, you should use a brush and get more. But then when I saw him doing this, I was just kind of amazed. But it's a really good idea that after you break your microns, that you mark them in such a way, like I'm putting green tape on it, just so I know that those are the broken ones, so I don't mix them up with my other ones. Okay, so those are my 10 art hacks for Inktober. Hope you liked them. Hope you discovered something new that maybe you hadn't heard about before. Everyone's got their own little techniques and things like this. Those are some of mine and some friends that kind of gave me some secrets on some of their art hack videos for inking. So maybe you guys have some tips and things that you guys want to share. You can share those in the comment section, and I'm interested to see what kind of techniques you guys have. So anyway, that's all I have for today. I will see you guys later, and that is all. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me here in the Art Lab. There's a lot of other great content on the channel, so click that subscribe button and you won't miss a thing. If you're an aspiring evil genius, visit Serkworks.com for all your mad science supply needs. And if you want to contact me, hit me up in the comment section or follow me on social media. I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you then.